Okay, so we've created our perimeters of our piece. Now we need to add measure lines, and then we need to grade our measure lines. So I'm going to turn my grade off, my nest off, okay? I did Control H, or you can click clear. I'm going to draw my measure lines. So I want some basic things, okay? On my sleeve, I want a bicep. So I'm in 2 points line, and I'm just clicking and dragging. Clicking and dragging into the sleeve cap notch. Holding Shift, click and hold till the bottom opening turns black. That ensures that they intersect. On my front and back, I want a bust line. Holding Shift, click and hold. I want a shoulder line on my back. Click and drag, hold Shift, click and hold, release. I want a bust line on my back. Click and hold Shift, click and hold. I need neck width and neck drops. So I'm going to make a little box. So click and hold, click and drag, hold Shift. I'm just going to go past my center front and click to release. Click and drag, hold Shift. I'm going to click and hold on this high point shoulder line and release. Do the same here. I can do it in the opposite. I can do click and drag here, hold Shift past my high point shoulder. Click and drag, hold Shift, click and hold on the center front and release. All right, then I'm going to go to Modify Line Actions Clip. I'm going to clip this line. When you clip, you always click the side of the line you want to keep, and then select the line that intersects that you want to clip at. I want to keep this side, and I want to clip at this line. All right. Lastly, I need an across front, across back. So I'm going to create offset, add. I'm going to choose my high point shoulder line, say OK, bunny click, and I want 5 inches in the negative direction. I'm going to do the same on my front, -5. And then I just want to extend that. So I'm going to go to Modify, Line Actions, Extend, choose the line, say OK. Choose the line, say OK. And now I have all of my lines. However, if I show my nest, you can see that my internal lines do not extend to all of my sizes. So I need to grade them. Any line that intersects with an already existing grade point can have the exact same grade point. So if I go to View, Point, Grade Rules, I can see what my rule numbers are. So this bicep point is 13 on the perimeter of my piece, but my line has no grade point applied to it. So I'm going to go to Grade, Modify, Rule Number, click and drag from the internal line to that point, and choose 13. And now you see that line extends and shrinks and intersects that 13 point on all sizes. So any of these points that intersect, I want to do the same thing. So this will get a 15. This will get a 10. This will get a 4. I'll fix that in a minute. This will get a 7. This will get an 8. This will get a 6. This will get a 4. This will get a 7. This tiny little guy right here will get an 8. Okay. So first I'm going to fix these points. So when we grade one side of a line, the system, the software, is going to try to grade the whole line to maintain its length. So all it did was when we added grade here, it went ahead and graded itself here so that the line stayed the same length. But we don't want it to stay the same length. We want it to intersect here. So right now, if I go to Edit Delta, and I click and drag into this point, oops, I see that I have a Y movement, and I know I want my Y to be 0 because center front has no movement to it. So I can simply click clear Y and say OK. Right? Alternatively, you can use copy and paste. So I know I want the Y to be 0. So I can find another point on this piece that has Y 0, like my rule number 1. And I can say copy Y rule here and paste it here. Okay? So either one is perfectly fine. Since I'm in copy, I'm going to keep doing that. When you copy, you just choose your reference and choose your target. You don't have to say OK in between. All right. Now for my cross front, cross back, I want my cross front, cross back to move in the X direction with my high point shoulder. If it stays the same and my high point shoulder moves, then my placement for my cross front, cross back in my spec needs to be graded. I don't want to do that. I want it to be 5 inches for all sizes, which means it needs to have the same X grade as my high point shoulder. So I'm going to go to copy X. I'm going to choose my 7. I could choose it from any point because I know now every point that intersects here has a 7 applied to it. I'm going to then paste it here and say OK. All right. But now I want the Y to intersect the armhole, but I have no idea what the Y rule is here because it's on a curve and it's changing. So I'm going to use intersection Y. All this does is give a grade rule in the whatever direction you choose, X, Y, we'll talk about these later. Intersection Y, it'll give a grade rule only for the Y so that this point intersects the perimeter on all sizes. Okay, so it maintained the X rule, it applied a Y rule that intersects the armhole. And then I just need to get rid of the Y rule down here, so I'm going to go to Edit Delta, click and drag, say OK, clear Y, OK. I'm going to do the same thing on my back, front. So I have copy X from my 7 to this point, intersection Y here. I could also do intersection Y here. I don't have to do clear Y. If I do intersection Y there, it intersects my center front. Okay. Lastly, I have these neck widths and front neck drops and back drops. So this line is graded here, and this line is graded here, but we need these 2 lines to intersect. So this high point shoulder line has the X rule from the 7, which is correct. This center front line has the Y rule of 8, which is no movement, is 0. We want this line to have 0 on the Y, and we want this line to have the X rule from 7. So we're going to flip-flop them. We're going to say copy X. We want the 7 rule, and we want to apply it to this line, the center front neckline, at this point. And I'm going to say OK. And you see this line shot out, so now it's in line with this high point shoulder line. Then I'm going to go to copy Y, choose my 8 rule, and paste it into the end point of this high point shoulder line and say OK. And then they meet together. Okay, that's what I want. Same goes here. Okay, it is really important though that when you do this that you've already put a 7 rule here and you've already put your 8 rule here. Okay, so I'm going to go to copy X. I want the X from my 7 and I want to apply it to my back neck line, top point. Okay. I'm going to copy Y from my 8 to my high point shoulder line. Okay, great. Okay, and I'm going to save this. Okay, when you save, your nest goes away, all you have to do is go back to Control G and turn it back on.